Look, people will identify with this. I ask large audiences when I speak to them, how many of you heard these questions before? So where did Cain get his wife? So how did Noah get the animals on the ark? What about the Big Bang? What do you do with dinosaurs? Don't they contradict the Bible? Didn't they live millions of years ago? What about carbon-14 dating? Doesn't that contradict the Bible? And what about the days of creation? Were they really days? Is there any evidence for a flood anywhere on the earth? What do you do with fossils? Aren't they millions of years old? Where do the races of people come from if we all go back to Adam and Eve? What about the ape men? What about the transitional forms? And I'll ask an audience, how many of you have heard those questions? Every hand goes up. We've heard those questions all around the world. Think about this. They've all heard those questions. Then if you ask this question, how many of your churches are dealing with those questions and raising generations of young people to know how to answer them? There's hardly a hand goes up. You see, there's a major problem here. And it's a problem in the church. Where did Cain get his wife? Well, the Bible says, Genesis 5:4. Adam had sons and daughters. Obviously, brothers had to marry sisters originally. Wait a minute, but close relatives aren't allowed to marry today. You got to understand something. We're all relatives. We all go back to Adam and Eve. And the law against close intermarriage for the Jews didn't come into being until the time of Moses. Abraham was married to his half-sister. And really, if you think about it, a man and woman getting married today is no different than a man and woman getting married back in Adam and Eve's time, because we're all relatives anyway, provided marriage is one man for one woman. But here's the problem. By the time of Moses, what had happened? Well, because of sin, mistakes add up in our genes. So now if close relations marry and those mistakes get together, it can cause increased likelihood of deformities in the offspring. So it's better today that you be further away in relationship, because the closer you are in relationship, the more likely you've got the same genes. That can cause problems. You've got to be further away in relationship. And so marriage is a man and a woman. It wasn't a problem originally because we're all related anyway, and marriage is a man and a woman, but we didn't have the mistakes on our genes that they had back then. So there's no difference between a man and woman getting married today and a brother and sister originally in Adam and Eve's time, because we're all relatives anyway.